Welcome to the All-Star Athlete Podcast, your guide to mastering the mental game and reaching your full potential. If you've been listening to the podcast and you've found the episodes to be informative and or interesting, I encourage you to subscribe to the podcast. I will be releasing episodes weekly, so subscribing to the podcast is the best way to stay up to speed on when the new episodes are released and to make sure that you don't miss any of the content. Also, liking each episode, if you have in fact been enjoying the content, as well as leaving any questions or comments that you may have down below, also go a long way in supporting the podcast. So thank you so much for listening and enjoy the show. Are you from San Diego originally, or where are you from originally?
I'm from Rockland, which is outside of Sacramento. I haven't lived in Northern California since the year after college. I graduated in 2015, so I've been in SoCal since 2016. And I've been all over. I went to Orange County first, then Santa Monica for 8 years, and then San Diego just exactly a year ago.
Okay, and was that for school purposes, or was that for education?
No, after college, I spent a year and a half in Sac working for the Sacramento Kings, the NBA team. And then that's when I got really into fitness and started my weight loss journey. And then I wanted to move out of Sacramento just to try something new. And one of my college best friends lived in Orange County, and we decided to get a place together in Costa Mesa. And that's when I started working. I still thought I was going to work in sports. So I was working for the NFLPA. And then I was teaching cycling on the side. And then I was I want to work only in fitness. And that's when I got SoulCycle, moved to New York for a bit, came back to LA, and started fitness.
Okay, and was your background, your educational background was in sports, or
No.
how did you've just always been athletic, your family? Talk to me about that a little bit.
My education was communication major, which I feel everyone who doesn't know what they want to do goes into communications. And I just was attracted. I don't know, I'm not a big, if you ask me what's your favorite basketball team or football team, I literally don't have one. I just think growing up playing sports, that was always really exciting to me. And then I didn't know what I wanted to do necessarily for work, but I liked the idea of working for a team, just because it seemed fun and exciting.
Okay, cool. Nice. So you've got a little bit of a background in sports and athletics, and you're interested in continuing to work in that vein. Mm-hmm. We'll get to talking about that in just a minute, but before we kind of dive into more of the deeper questions, I had some fun, I call them pregame questions, just to break the ice a little bit, get to know you a little bit. I'll maybe answer a couple of them as well, just fun little questions to kind of get us kicked off today. So first question for you. You're walking into a big game or workout. What one song magically starts playing at a movie soundtrack, right? What's the pump up anthem? And, have you always had the same one, and is it still hyping you up to this day?
Well, I feel for me, music, and this is a short answer, but music for me, it all depends on my mood and how I'm feeling at that exact moment. So I feel it'd either be an intense rap song, or it'd be a fun country song. So it depends on my mood. If it was a rap song, it'd probably be something Future, TBD on which song. And then if it was country, it'd be something Morgan Wallen.
Okay, and give me an example of when each of those might be your pump-up song.
If I'm pissed, if I want to really go nuts, it'd probably be a Future song. And then if I'm just in a good mood, want good energy, and want to feel really calm and centered, it'd be Morgan Wallen.
Okay. Now, you're big into working out. Mm-hmm. Obviously, fitness, that's a big part of what we're here to talk about today. Yeah. When you're headed to the gym, or when you're getting into your first compound lift, which one of those is it going to be?
Walking to the gym and warming up is country, and then as soon as the weights start, it's hip hop.
It's fucking go time once it's time.
But sometimes I'll play softer music when I'm working out, just again depending on my mood. Because sometimes I get overstimulated, wearing headphones, and then I'm just sometimes I need to just listen to nothing.
Same. Yeah. Actually, that's a very common thing, at least for me. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you said that, though, because that happens to me, too, where obviously working out can be very stimulating. I don't know if you're doing pre-workout or not, but the lights at the gym are very bright. There's a ton of attractive people around. Yeah. There's loud banging noises. There's, obviously the lifting heavy weights, right? It's very stimulating. sympathetic nervous system activating. So sometimes I get a little overactivated. I kind of have some anxiety sometimes. Who knows what's going on in your life or my life. And I'll kind of just like select a chiller song because it's like there's actually a concept called the zone of optimal performance. And so if you are too overactivated, this is, sort of talking about sports, but since we're in the weightlifting realm here, if you're too overactivated, it can be a detriment to your performance. For sure. So you feel that, and then you might want to like either turn the volume down or like dial the intensity of the music down, and then you're like, okay, like I can do this.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. All right. Second question. You've been recruited last minute to compete in a non-mainstream sport on live TV. Okay. Pickleball, fencing, curling, one of these sports that you've heard of before that's like not really the first thing that you'd see on TV. What sport are you picking? And are you thriving in that sport, or are you just trying to survive?
I think I'd pick air hockey.
Okay.
And I'd be thriving.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a Dave and Buster's kind of girl. What's that? Coin op? What's that? Arcade? Are you crushing everybody at the arcade?
I grew up with an air hockey table in our garage, and my dad and I would play, and I was pretty good.
Okay. Have you ever seen those funny videos where it's like a cat or a dog and they're on like the air hockey table and they're just like waiting and then they just like hit it and the puck goes to the other end and then the other animal hits it and it's like that's prime animal content right there.
Yeah.
Okay, good answer. Let's say your celebrity crush walks into the gym and you're mid-workout. Okay. First of all, who is it? And second, are you keeping your cool or are you immediately forgetting how to count reps and what you're doing?
It'd probably be Michael B. Jordan, and I would keep my cool. I'd keep working out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever met Michael B. Jordan?
No, I'm not.
Who's the like highest profile celebrity that you've ever met?
I don't really know. When I taught at SoulCycle, there would sometimes be like celebrities in class, but not like huge ones. But if you're familiar with Gossip Girl, like Chuck Bass was in my class once. That's the character. I don't even know. I'm terrible with celebrities. Like, I really don't, like, people will be like, this celebrity, I'll be like, who? And if I see a picture, I'll recognize them. But I really am not, I don't really know. So I haven't really met that many famous people. Okay.
Honestly, same. I don't watch a lot of TV or movies.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm okay on like names and stuff. And if you showed me a picture, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's.
Oh, wait, actually, Kendrick Lamar worked out at Equinox Santa Monica when I used to work out there. I had no idea it was him until everyone was like, and I was doing curls next to Kendrick Lamar. And I had no idea.
So you were obviously keeping your cool, but mostly because you just didn't know who he was.
He's
right?
like a shorter man with like a sweatsuit on. And he was minding his business. I was minding mine.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
He probably appreciated that because most celebrities are probably annoyed that people are just like, oh my God. Like, whatever. That's cool though. Michael B. Jordan. So you must like, what is that? Black Panther? Is that movie that he's in? That like Marvel movie or whatever? It. Or,
the Creed movie.
The Rocky movie. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's dreamy for sure. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Fourth question. You have been named the head of the Pro Sports Style Council. Okay. And you get to crown one sport as the best dressed and one sport that desperately needs a glow up. Okay. Who's getting the gold and who's getting a makeover?
I don't really watch sports, to be honest, but I feel like when I do see like TikTok videos or recaps of like that kind of thing, I feel like NFL players or NBA players walk into their games really well dressed.
Oh, so like the pregame outfits.
Yes.
Like
you're talking about like the uniforms.
Either way, it was kind of open-ended, but whichever.
I don't really know, as I really don't watch sports.
Okay. I mean, NBA players are definitely like showing off the fashion.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook, LeBron James.
Yeah.
Who else? James Harden. Some of these guys are really out there with their outfits. And then who's getting a makeover? Who's the worst dressed athletes?
I think golf.
Okay. Some of those golf outfits are just yikes.
Doesn't do anything.
Some of them are wearing like the plaid pants and the neon colored shirts and the tan lines are just horrible. I mean, they're out in the sun all the time. So what can you expect? But okay, that's fair. Cool. All right. Last pregame question here. You just scored a last-second game winner in whatever sport it is that you're playing. Maybe it's air hockey, in front of a packed stadium, okay? What is your celebration move? Are we talking something basic like a fist bump? Or are we going with like an air guitar or like something that's going to go viral on TikTok?
I think it'd be pretty keep it cool to celebrate with the team and jog back.
Like just a little high five and just like, all right, let's go team.
Keep the momentum going.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Cool. All right. Nice. So let's get into kind of our main questions here. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier. You introduced yourself, where you're from, but if you could, again, just sort of start by introducing yourself, your name, give us a quick snapshot of your sort of athletic journey. So sort of growing up as an athlete to where you are now in your fitness career.
Sure. Well, I'm Maxie Haase. I'm from Rockland, California. Been in Southern California for almost 10 years. I would say my athletic journey has transformed a lot over the years. I started playing soccer when I was like 4 years old, and it's the only organized sport that I played, but I played it very competitively all the way up to my freshman year of college. My parents are both athletes. My dad actually raced professionally. He's a runner. And my mom is probably the most active person anyone will ever meet in their entire lives. Like, she works out nonstop. So I grew up around fitness and activity and sports, and it's just always been a part of me. I played soccer, like I said, all the way through freshman year of college. And then once I stopped playing soccer, I was pretty sedentary, just like, in school, enjoying being in college, and then getting into the workforce right after college. And once I was in that workforce, that's when I kind of realized like, oh, I'm really like out of touch. Like, I'm no longer feeling athletic. I've put on quite a bit of weight, and I want to get back into feeling like an athlete again. So that's when I started discovering the weight room, and I got really into training, strength training specifically. And during that process, as I was getting back into touch with being an athlete and like feeling strong, I wanted to do more to help myself lose more weight. And that's when I found indoor cycling. So I'd say like it's still pretty popular now, but I'd say like 5 to 8 years ago, probably even more, like 10 years ago, the indoor cycling craze was at an all-time high. Kind of like how Pilates is like the most trendy thing right now. I'd say like rhythmic workouts, specifically cycling, was like all the craze. So in Sacramento, where I was living at the time, I started taking classes at this place called Team Ride, and I would watch the girls in the front row, and they were like all on beat, and it's like dancing on a bike, and they were like so good. And I was like, I gotta get good at this. So as I was losing weight, I was also getting really intense with cycling, indoor cycling. And then that led me to moving to Orange County. I started teaching indoor cycling on the side of my corporate job. So I'd work all day doing my corporate job, and then I'd teach a couple classes at night or before work even started. And I wanted to go all in with indoor cycling, which it sounds kind of silly, but I'm sure a lot of people know what SoulCycle is. And SoulCycle at the time was a private company. Now it's public. But it was very difficult to become a SoulCycle instructor. You had to go through these rigorous audition processes, and if you made it, you would get selected, and then you'd have to move to New York for a 3-month period, fully on your own dime. Doesn't matter, like, you have a lease, well, you gotta go if you want to go. So anyways, long story short, I auditioned for SoulCycle. I did not make it. I practiced more, auditioned again like 6 months later, made it, moved to New York for 3 months, came back after the 3-month period as an instructor. And then that's when my fitness teaching really took off, because I was teaching SoulCycle, and then I wasn't making enough money just teaching SoulCycle. So then I was teaching boxing. I wanted to hustle more. Then I started personal training. So all that time was all about teaching. And then at one point, as I was a boxing coach, I was like, well, I don't want to just be a boxing coach. I want to fight. Like, I want to like actually do this. So then I got really into boxing, and then I learned about how food and macronutrition could teach me to get into weight ranges. So like if I needed to be a certain specific weight, if I follow this specific formula, I can get there in this specific time if I hit these boxes. And that was like mind blowing to me as someone who'd lost a lot of weight before. So got obsessed with it, started teaching my clients it on the side because I was already their trainer. Why not help them with their nutrition? Because if you know this, if your workouts are great and your nutrition is not great, there's no way you're going to see any visual changes. Like maybe you'll be healthier, but visually, aesthetically, you won't be. So then I started doing it on the side. Then I was like, I need to be being paid for this. So I went back to school, started doing it on the side. And then when COVID happened, all my jobs kind of shut down. And I was like, okay. So I was still personal training people. And then I was like, I want to make money for nutrition. And I was doing a bunch of other like virtual jobs. I was making really good money, but then everything was kind of dying out. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to rely on companies anymore. I want to rely on myself. And that's when I opened my nutrition business in 2021. And I've been fully self-employed since.
Okay. Wonderful. So that takes us from where you started to where you are now. Mm-hmm. You're now a fully self-employed, what would you describe? Your fitness coach, health mentor, personal trainer?
It's hard for me to like say how, because sometimes like I'm not a personal trainer anymore. I'm not just a nutrition coach anymore. I'd say the relationships that I have with my clients, it's much more of, I'd say I'm like a fat loss coach. A lot of my clients are looking to me for help because they want to lose fat, and they don't want to just lose fat. They want to learn the lifestyle that comes with losing fat, maintaining the fat loss, and getting stronger afterwards. So I'd say like, and I'm sure we'll talk more about what my program is like, but my clients are coming to me because they want to totally reinvent themselves and their lifestyles. And we work very closely together to make that a reality. So I guess I would say like fat loss lifestyle coach.
Okay, so it's a holistic picture. You're not putting yourself into any specific box of personal trainer or fitness coach or wellness mentor. It's like, honestly, whatever your clients need, but you're basically teaching them the habits and the mentality and the lifestyle to go from who they are to who they want to be. Yeah,
because as you and I both know, you can do anything for a period of time, but if what you're doing isn't something you do for the rest of your life, those results you achieve in that period of time, they will not last.
Correct. Okay, beautiful. So perfect segue into my next question. So that's a little bit about who you are. Now I would like you, if you're comfortable doing so, to share your social media or where any of our listeners can find out about your programs if they want to reach out to you. So the floor is yours. Any websites or social media pages you want to share?
Yeah, Instagram is definitely the social media platform I use the most, which is just my name, Maxie Haase. And on my Instagram, in my bio, there's a link to my website. But pretty much everything you need to know is on my Instagram. I do have a TikTok, but I rarely use it. And that's one of those things I'm like, I need to just post what I post on Instagram to TikTok, but it's just not as easy as I don't know. I need to get better at TikTok, but Instagram's the spot to find me.
Okay, perfect. So I will include the information for that in the description for this episode. So if people want to reach out to you, they'll have a link to find you.
Cool.
Perfect. Okay. So let's go back to, we got kind of the whole picture there. So let's go back to kind of the beginning, the early years of soccer, which is kind of where this fitness, health journey kind of started. Early years of soccer, what mental challenges did you face growing up as I believe you mentioned to me earlier, sort of one of the bigger girls on the team? So how did that affect your identity and like your mentality as you were growing up?
Yeah, it's interesting. So to kind of back up a little bit, I was always a heavier kid, and I wouldn't say I was like significantly bigger than everyone during I was always bigger than not in like I don't even know how to describe. I'm tall. I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
I also was just heavier, but not like, even when I show my before and after pictures of like me at my heaviest weight, which was close to 240 pounds, I don't look like obese. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but I've always been muscular. I've always been really strong, and I carry my weight fairly well. Like, as you know, working in the fitness space, people have different body types. And some people, you'll see they have very thin extremities and they'll carry all their weight in their trunk. Mm-hmm. Or someone will be super lower body heavy and super small upper body. So for me, growing up, I always was just bigger. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. I was bigger. And I'd say in high school, I definitely started gaining more weight towards the end of high school, like junior, senior year. But as far as that impacted me and like my social life and things like that, honestly, it didn't. Like, I was always a pretty confident kid. I was very good at soccer too. So like, I always made the best teams. I was the captain. I was like always winning awards. Like, I was strong. I was fast. I was not afraid of anything. Like, balls would be coming from the drop kick and like I wanted to head the ball. Like, I was slide tackling. People on other teams were scared of me. Like, I never had any difficulties in my athletic career where I was like, oh, I'm overweight. Like, I'm not fast enough. I'm not strong enough. I can't hang in the game. Like, I've always had that. I will say, and this is kind of related to the question you just asked, like I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, both my parents are athletes. Both my parents are extremely fit. Like, my mom and dad both have 6-packs to this day, and they're 65 plus. So, food in my household was an interesting topic. My mom, she eats the exact same thing every day, my whole entire life. She's very regimented. My dad, he was cooking the dinners for my sister and I. They were always healthy meals. We didn't have a lot of junk food in our house, but I think reflecting back, being larger than my peers, like, it didn't bother me. And it wasn't until later in my high school career where I started probably noticing that my eating tendencies were a little bit different than my peers. And I think a lot of that was to do with just the lack of variety in my house and just like the extreme attention to detail with exercise with my family. But as far as like friendships, popularity in school, I never had any issues with that at all. It's kind of, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. We'll kind of get into it a little bit more as we go here. But it sounds like basically you weren't really overly affected by being one of the sort of bigger girls when you were growing up. You were still confident. You were still playing really well. It wasn't really affecting you that much. You did mention to me off the air that despite your parents' level of fitness, your parents kind of had an effort to help you lose weight. Yeah. Including being taken to Jenny Craig. Yeah. I believe when you were, I don't know, 15. Maybe 15. So how did that experience shape your self-talk and sort of your relationship with your body, your self-image, as a lot of young women go through kind of in high school?
Yeah, I think about that often because in my career, I work with a lot of women most of my clients are like in their late 20s, 30s, a little into the 40s. Like, that's kind of my 25 to like 45 is like my range of women mostly. And a lot of these women that I work with have extreme body dysmorphia and extreme confidence issues. And they feel like they've wasted their lives in the years that they've spent in a heavier body. And I think for me, since I was always a bit bigger, like my whole life, like as a little kid up through college, I didn't know any different. So for me, I wasn't the skinny popular girl in high school. And then now I'm 32 and I'm like completely different looking and I feel blah, 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 blah. So for me, I didn't truly make any big efforts to lose weight until I was like, oh, like I'm ready to do this. And as soon as I was like, oh, I'm ready to do this, the weight came off like within 6 months. Like, I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. However, I would say at that time when I was 15, when my mom took me to Jenny Craig, the reason why my parents were trying to help me is, you go in for your annual physical every year and you have this doctor who I was petrified of telling me that I'm overweight. And my parents are amazing and they want to help in whatever way they can do to help. And at the time, that's what my mom thought was going to help me. She didn't know what to do. And I understand, like, your daughter is being told by the doctor that she's overweight and this is going to cause health complications. And my mom is like, this is my daughter. I want to make her healthy. I don't know what to do. Like, yeah, my parents, we go to the track every Saturday. My mom would take me to the gym. Like, but it wasn't like, Maxie, you're overweight. Maxie, you're overweight. It was just like, this is what our family does. So I think my mom, she genuinely just was like, I've heard this helps people and I want to help my daughter. So I remember like vividly going And it's so like funny thinking back now because technology is so different. But they like, you know, like I'm wearing a Fitbit right now. This is really old. I just have a weird attachment to it. They gave me this like armband, and it was like a giant thing with like a Velcro strap, and you were supposed to wear it 24/7, and it would count your steps. It would count like your all this metrics that like an Aura ring or something, like the very baseline version of that.
Sure.
And I remember receiving that. And I'm like, I'm not wearing this around. And like I would wear it sometimes.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. And then they would give you, you know, like all this like frozen little meals, and it just was like, this is not gonna work. And like I said, it wasn't until when I was finishing up with college, I remember that's when I did have a little bit of body issues. I remember I was looking for a dress for my boyfriend at the time's sister's wedding, and I remember just trying on dresses in the dressing room at Nordstrom, and I was like, I don't like any of these. And then a couple months later, that's when I had my moment that I'm like, I'm done. And then I fixed it.
Okay, so at that time, it wasn't necessarily that you didn't like any of the dresses. You maybe didn't like how they fit on your body, or you were kind of looking at yourself in the mirror and you'd been confident up to that point in your body and who you were. And
I wouldn't call it confidence. I'd call it just acceptance. I was just like, oh, this is me. This is what I look like. I'm tall, I'm big, I have big bones, and this is just who I am.
Yeah.
And I accepted it.
Some of that is what it is too, like bone density. Like you
Yeah,
probably have very dense bones, which is great,
dense.
Obviously for a woman, because that's a big issue with women as they get older. So you got that going in your favor.
Yeah.
Did you get made fun of at all for being like one of the bigger girls, or like?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Really?
Like really, and also like again, like I said, in high school, I was a bit heavier set, but I wasn't like, I don't want to be rude, but I wasn't the fat girl. Like I wasn't. Oh, there's Maxie, she's fat. Like Maxie's tall and big and strong, and yeah, she's bigger than that girl, but she's not like this like big girl everywhere. It was like, yeah, I never experienced that feeling.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know how kids are. They're just like no filter bullies, just like talking behind each other's backs, like anything to bring people down kind of a thing. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it was around the same time, but after college, you hit a point where you felt sedentary and disconnected from fitness. Was that around the same time of what you were just talking about with the dress for the wedding?
I think a lot of people can relate to this, but if you've ever worked an office job, specifically in a cubicle, and you're on a dial tone dialer all day making cold calls, which is what I was doing, you get into the office at 8 a.m., you don't leave till 5 p.m., your only social time is that hour, or maybe, I think it was only like 40-minute lunch break in the middle of the day. You're sitting all day long. There's tons of crap in the office break room. You go out to lunch with your coworkers. And then for me, since I was working for the NBA, my work day during season was 8 to 5 work. And then we were at the games 7 to 11. So my work days were like 14-hour days. And the food that they provide is literally like, you can bring your own food, which I ended up doing. But you have pizza, you have bagels, you have donuts, you have all this stuff, and then you're not moving. You're literally just sitting there all day. So that's when my weight really started to like become something noticeable to me, because like I said, even when I stopped playing soccer, I was still, you know, walking around campus all the time, doing active things with my girlfriends, like partying, like that takes things out of, you know, I wasn't just like sitting, eating. That's all I did as a sedentary cubicle worker.
Okay. And when you hit that like rock bottom moment, was there any frustration or shame that you were feeling, or do you remember vividly the aha moment, or what did you view did you not like how you looked in the mirror? Like what was the ultimate like turning point where you were like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I'm on my new journey now.
There never was like, I mean, of course, as I was heavier, I wasn't like looking in the mirror and being like obsessed with myself in the mirror. I just kind of wasn't really looking in the mirror that much. It wasn't like I wasn't trying to look in the mirror. I just was like, again, like I said, I had a boyfriend. He really loved me. I was just living my life, whatever. But what really struck the moment for me is, like I mentioned, I was working for the Sacramento Kings, and I was cold calling past season ticket members, past people that have gone to games, just people that have gone to the arena, and trying to sell them season tickets. And it wasn't going well. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to start reaching out to businesses in SAC, because if they buy these season tickets, they can use them for business purposes, like for clients, whatever. So I decided to target gyms, and I targeted this one gym called the Academy in Sacramento. I attempted to sell them season tickets. We had like meetings, At the time, they were hosting a fitness challenge that they're about to start the next month. I got really cool with the owners of the gym. They bought a $10,000 season ticket package for me, which was like probably my biggest sale. I was like super excited. And they're like, we're buying this, but you got to do our challenge. And part of the challenge was a weigh-in, pictures, following a diet plan, and following their workout plan. And I had always avoided scales. That is one thing that I can remember that is a little trauma-inducing for me. I hated getting physicals because that's when my doctor would tell my parents that I was overweight, and that's when my parents would have me do Jenny Craig, work out for extra allowance money, like little shit like that. So for me, scales, hated them. But I wanted to do this challenge. Sure, I'll do the scale. And around that same time, my roommate at the time, she had a scale magically appear in our bathroom. She also was like going through her own fitness thing. So I remember I stepped on it. It said I was like 243 pounds. And I was like, oh shit, that's like the heaviest I've ever been. I think the last time I'd weighed myself, I didn't even know. I don't think I even knew what I weighed for years. And so I saw that and I'm like, this isn't good. And then I was like, well, this is a sign, this program, I'm going to do it. And so I signed up for the program and I lost 13 pounds in 1 month and I won the whole challenge. I won like $500. And then I just became a member there. And within 6 months, I lost like 56 pounds in 6 months.
Okay, so that sounds like that was kind of the turning point, the moment, I guess, in maybe not a very specific point, but that around that time. Mm-hmm. So at that time, you kind of went from feeling stuck, working this kind of like cold calling job, corporate job, to getting into the fitness realm, the Soul Cycle and the boxing and the personal training and all this kind of stuff. But you went from feeling stuck and then you kind of transitioned up to teaching, I believe, up to 27 classes a week. If what I heard from you is correct. And even that's probably an understatement with the amount of work that you were putting into that. So what mindset shifts or like motivations had to change to go from the corporate job to the teaching all those classes? And did that take a toll on your mental health, either positively or negatively?
There was quite a bit of time between that moment where I was like, I'm doing this, and I lost 60 pounds to the 27 classes. I think a characteristic about myself is I'm pretty spontaneous. Like I will, not spontaneous in a normal way, but if I'm like doing something and I'm like, oh, I want to do that, that is all I will do until I achieve it. Like I become obsessed. And so when I had that moment of like, oh, I'm going to lose weight, I became obsessed with it. Working for the Sacramento Kings, I started a little meal prep thing where I was meal prepping for people in the office for money. I was doing the most. I would take this workout class at the Academy in the morning. I would go to work for the Kings. I would get off work at the Kings. I would go take a cycling class at the team ride place. I would go home. I'd eat the meal that I'd already prepped. And then I would go to the gym and do 45 minutes on the Stairmaster. And I did that every day for 6 months. I was obsessed. And once I realized, oh, I'm just obsessed with this, what else do I want to do? And I was like, well, I think I want to keep changing my life. I want to get out of this town. And I want to break up with this guy. Nothing wrong with the guy, but I was like, this life isn't the life that I want. I'm completely changing it. So broke up with him, moved to Orange County, got another job doing, I didn't even care what the job was. I just wanted to be in a place that made sense with this new persona I was creating, this new identity. So that's when I got to Orange County. That's when I started teaching on the side. I had no intention that I was going to become a fitness instructor full time. That was like, again, like I don't really think about, oh, what am I going to do in 5 years? I think about what am I going to do right now that's going to make me feel like the version of myself that I know I want to be. So then I just kind of stumble into the next thing. And the next thing was like teaching on the side. And then I was like, wait, this place that I teach at on the side, that's not the best. The best of indoor cycling is Soul Cycle. So then I became obsessed with the idea of wanting to teach at Soul Cycle. So then when I got that goal, I'm teaching at Soul Cycle. My goal changed from, I don't want to just be teaching at Soul Cycle. I want to be the best at teaching Soul Cycle. And that's not enough. I need to do more. I want to make more money. I want to impact more people. I want to do more things. I want to be busy. So that's when I was like, I need to teach somewhere else too. So that's when I started teaching at Box Union, which was also a difficult job to get. And then I'm teaching at these 2 companies. This is cool. My clients in these classes are asking for help outside of this. Now they want to hire me to come to their homes, and they're paying me way more than what I get paid in one class. I'm going to do that too. And I'm going to fill my whole day. Like, I teach at this studio, and then I have to drive across to this studio 45 minutes away. But this person lives over there. So now I'm going to pair a personal training session in their backyard after I teach that class. So I just got like too much rat race, like, and that's kind of how the 27 classes started and all the teaching.
Okay. So it's great that you have an ambitious mindset to pursue all these things, but that can lead to burnout, overtraining.
Totally.
So you've been at both ends of the spectrum. You've kind of been at the inactive end of the spectrum, that corporate job. And then you've kind of been at the end of the spectrum where you're like teaching all these classes and then also doing this other job and then working on the side. And like that can lead to probably some amount of burnout. Yeah. So I'm guessing now you're in a place of a little bit more balance, hopefully. What did you learn about balance and kind of throughout that whole process?
Well, at one point, it was actually probably like 6 or 7 months before COVID happened. I was teaching so much and I was doing so much that I started having really bad issues with my vocal cords. And if you're not familiar with teaching on a microphone, typically studios have a sound system for the music and then a sound system where your voice on the microphone comes out of. So as you're teaching, you can hear yourself. But one of the studios that I was teaching at, the voice came out of the same speaker as the music. So I, again, was teaching all these classes. And if you can't hear yourself while you're teaching, you end up over enunciating, over using your voice. So I developed vocal nodules and I ripped my larynx. So I literally, for like 8 months, was battling with being able to speak. So I would wake up and I would have to test if I had a voice that day. I'd be like, I had a boyfriend that I lived with for 4 years at the time. And I would wake him up at 4 a.m. to test my voice. And if I had no voice, he would have to call the sub hotline for me and be like, Maxie, can't speak today. So long story short, I got to the point, I went to all these different specialists. I was still teaching. There'd be classes where during the class, my voice would go away and I'd have to teach the rest of the class in silence. And like my clients knew, and they knew it was a struggle. I sounded like I smoked packs a day. I remember I would go to the grocery store to buy groceries and the people would be like, feel better. And sometimes if I was like mad, I'm not sick, like I would get so frustrated. Anyways, all that to say is I ripped my larynx and they were talking about vocal reconstruction surgery. Before we tried that, they're like, we're going to put you on disability for 3 months. So for 3 months, I did not work. I couldn't. I was being paid, but not working because I literally had no voice and I couldn't speak for 3 months. I had to carry around a whiteboard. I literally couldn't speak. All this to say, that was kind of like the universe, I think, sign telling me to stop and slow down. So I did stop, slowed down, and then the world stopped as well. And that's when COVID happened. And I had to chill for a little bit.
Okay, so it sounds like you are, like we mentioned, very dedicated and passionate and ambitious about chasing after these goals and being the best at whatever it is that you do. Yeah. Unfortunately, as it sounds like you've learned in a couple of different scenarios that you've explained so far, that can lead to too much. Like too much of a good thing is still too much. Totally. Right? So now I think you probably, although you're very ambitious still with your coaching programs that we talked about earlier and everything that you do now from, a fitness standpoint, your own health, right, your own diet, all this kind of stuff, you probably have a little bit more of like a balanced approach now, if I had to guess. Is that true? Career-wise? Or are you still going like balls to the wall?
Career-wise, I am very proud of how balanced my work to life ratio is, but it took me a very long time to get to that point. I'm really proud of my business. It's more than I could ever imagine. I'm sometimes I have to like remind myself like, whoa, Maxie, like you created something really special and big and successful, like very successful. However, I do always battle with the doing too much mindset. Like I know, but last year at this time, I just finished competing in a bodybuilding competition, and bodybuilding is something that really distorted my view of food and body image for the first time in my life. Prior to that, I also was boxing at attempting to compete in boxing and going through these very rigorous weight cuts and doing the most with exercise and food. So I'd say like work-life balance is in a great place. I'd say fitness and pushing myself in the gym and in the kitchen, that's still something that I have to work on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all working on something. I mean, I know I'm working on something, and probably all of our listeners are working on something too.
Yeah.
So it's actually very refreshing to hear for anybody that's listening that everybody has something to work on.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. We're about halfway through here, so let's jump into some fun halftime questions. Okay. Similar to the pregame questions, just some fun, like, mix it up here. First question for you at halftime here is, you've just wrapped up a brutal game or workout. Maybe it's air hockey. Maybe it's a workout in the gym, right? Okay. So what's your go-to recovery move, right? Because recovery is important. Are you taking a nap? Are you taking a snack? Are you eating a snack? Are you binging something on Netflix while you're foam rolling? Like, what are you doing right after like a tough workout?
Tough workout, I think I like to come home, shower, and then eat a good meal. I'm very, I'm very regimented with my diet, so I probably just make my food. And then as far as like what I'm doing, I probably just like lay on my couch with my dog, drink a diet Dr. Pepper Zero, and either watch something, read, or scroll on TikTok.
Okay. What are you scrolling for on TikTok? Like TikTok shop, like shopping stuff, or like stupid dance moves, or
algorithms? I feel like are so weird. So whatever I'm currently like fixated on is what I'm watching. So depends on what the algorithm gives me.
But it's going to involve Zeus, right? Your dog.
Yes.
Shout out to Zeus. He's
Zeus.
A goldendoodle.
Goldendoodle. He's 5.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Next question. You just had a massive win, and you get to treat yourself to any meal. Okay. Now, you and I both know that we cook a lot of our own meal.
Yes.
Beef, zucchini, rice. Okay.
Beef, all the time beef.
Whatever. I mean, chicken sausage, whatever it is. Okay. Yeah. But you can treat yourself to any meal. Okay. Yes. All bets are off. Cheat meals are healthy every once in a while. Yeah. For those of us that, are not in the fitness realm. Like, we're both here to tell you that every once in a while, it is actually good to eat a cheat meal.
Yeah.
I don't know if your mom is on board with that plan, but
definitely not. Just be like, what's that?
Yeah. Okay, but no calories. I say no calories, but no rules for this meal. So, what are you eating? And are you eating it in sweats, or are you like still in your gym outfit? Like, did you shower and change first, or are you just like grabbing a burger on the way home from the gym, or what's up?
I think I would shower and change so I would enjoy it more.
Okay.
But I'm definitely like a burger person. Not crazy with French fries. Like, I'll have some French fries, but that doesn't do it for me. Big burger, cheeseburger, for sure. I also really like pastries, like almond croissant, donut. But if I'm going to get like a meal, it'd be like a burger. But I also do enjoy dressing up outside of like gym clothes and going to like a really nice steakhouse and having like steak, potatoes, veggies, glass of red wine.
Okay, so red meat one way you slice it, or another.
Red meat girl. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. In-N-Out burger or
In-N-Out's good.
Shake Shack. Where are we going?
I think I would want like a thicker burger. Like In-N-Out is like a thin patty.
Yeah, okay.
I think I'd want like to go somewhere and get like a good burger.
Okay, all right, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Third question. You're heading into a high-stakes competition, and you can bring one former teammate or coworker with you. Who is your ride or die, and what is their superpower in pressure moments?
My ride or die is Sydney Miller. She goes by S-Box. She lives in New York and Puerto Rico. She's actually on the training team for the Serrano sisters, Amanda Serrano. She's a big fight in Madison Square Garden in July. She's just a badass. She also works in the nutrition space. She's also a boxer, so she's like fought in a lot of fights. Her and I have worked in many jobs together, SoulCycle, virtual companies. We've had glow-ups together. She's one of my best friends. And her superpower, she's just a badass. Like, she could literally fight anyone.
So just like...
She's just strong.
Confident.
And she's so...
Not backing down.
Caring at the same time. Like, I talk to her about anything. No matter how much time goes past. Like, we don't take too much time without talking to each other, but we're always there for each other and a good sounding board.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Your energy is tanking mid-game, mid-week, mid-workout. Your energy is just like taking a dip, right? You eat probably pretty healthy. You're pretty consistent with your food, but at any point, your energy may be just like taking a dive, right? What is instantly going to lift up your spirits? Is it like a song? Is it more food? Is it food?
It's food.
A show? Food?
Food.
What's your go-to like snack if your energy's like tanking?
Probably I mean, this is going to sound strange, but like a big apple.
Okay.
And then I dip it with like Greek yogurt, protein powder, and some maple syrup, and I like eat it like a dip.
No peanut butter?
I don't keep peanut butter in my house.
That sounds
dangerous.
Yeah. Okay. It's one of those. So you're one of those like can't have it in the house. Otherwise,
I could have
eat
it
it kind
in
of
the house.
thing.
I just like, why have something in there that I'm not going to eat regularly?
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Last question here. You've got a big entrance moment before the final round of whatever it is that you're competing in. Okay. Mm-hmm. Big entry. Crowd is roaring. The spotlight is on, right? What is your walkout nickname?
Oh.
And what song is blasting as you make your entrance?
Walkout nickname. I really don't have.
Or what's your nickname? Do you have a nickname? So you called Sydney, right? You called her what? S-Box?
Sidfit, S-Box.
S-Box?
Yeah.
What does she call you?
Just Max.
Okay.
A lot of people call me Max. My full name is Maxine, so my name Maxie is actually kind of a nickname. I've never really had nicknames. It's mostly been Max. Like, that's it.
Okay. That's simple.
Yeah.
Okay. And what song is blasting? Is it going to be some more? You said Future earlier?
Probably a Future song.
Future.
Or, yeah, probably a Future song.
Or would you say Morgan Wallen?
Morgan Wallen's good.
Okay.
I'm going to see him in July, too, so I'm excited about that.
Where at?
In Arizona.
Okay. And you just went to Stagecoach recently?
Yeah, with Sam. You interviewed Sam.
For sure, yeah. Sam Warner.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was episode 18 or 19, I think.
Nice.
A few episodes back. You go to Stagecoach frequently, or is
that
first
was my
time?
first festival, and I feel like
first festival?
my last
First festival.
Yes.
Oh, okay. They're pretty overwhelming, huh?
What, 3 days is too many.
It's too many.
And I wore running shoes day 2 and 3 because you can't walk that much in non-comfortable
70,000 steps in
I'll ruin my outfit. I don't care.
Yeah, to be more comfortable. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any veteran festival goers will do the same. Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So after you had that moment where you kind of had the realization of not wanting to work for the Sacramento Kings anymore, the corporate job, you said that you went back to school for nutrition, and that was a pretty big pivot for you. Did you have any kind of doubts or fears when stepping into like that new identity, that new chapter of your life? And if so, how did you push through those?
So I did Precision Nutrition online. It's like a 6-month course that you take at your own pace. And I did it while I was still fully employed with my fitness jobs, my personal training, my virtual jobs. Like, I had a lot of jobs. I didn't know at the time that I wanted to do that as a full-time thing. I was just fascinated with macro-based nutrition because as someone who was overweight a lot of their life and thought dieting was impossible, it was the first time, even though I'd already successfully lost like 60 pounds, it was the first time where I was like, oh, light bulb. If I do this, I get this. And if you can be disciplined and follow this, I will get this. So for me, that was really freaking cool. So I wanted to go back to school, 1, just to further my own knowledge in it and to like understand myself better. 2, to service the clients that were already paying me a high amount of money per week. And 3, I think in the back of my head, I was like, oh, this is something that I could add on to like my list of services.
Okay, so it sounds like you didn't really have any doubts or fears about your ability to do that. You just wanted to learn more about it.
Yeah.
So was there ever really like a point of hesitation when you were switching between the corporate and the wellness? Like fears of, because you're kind of self-employed right now, right?
Fully.
So like switching from working from somebody to working for yourself.
Yeah.
Like you are your own source of income now. You work all your own hours, you make your own schedule, but also like if something falls through, you're not making money anymore.
Yeah, so I did everything in stages. So at the time that I opened my business, like officially, I mean, first of all, for a good 3 to 4 months, I was just talking about this is coming, this is coming. I was building up this recipe book that I still sell, by the way, on my this recipe book.
Should we link that in the?
It's in my bio. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'll link it. I'll look it up.
Yeah. So I was creating all this hype around this recipe book, around the coaching program that I was going to receive, and I had people interested. But at the same time, I was working at SoulCycle, teaching less, but I was still teaching there. And then I was also working for this virtual fitness company that no longer exists, and it was weird AF. But they were paying me way too much money. Like, it was insane. I was teaching live classes 4 times a week to nobody. There was nobody taking the class. Yet I would get to the studio, get full hair and makeup done at 4:30 in the morning, and teach a 45-minute class, break for 20 minutes, and teach another 45-minute class to nobody. And I was making like $12,000 a month doing that. And it was like 3 hours a week, and it was very strange. So I was like, I had SoulCycle, I had this other job. I was also working for an agency at the time doing different modeling, like fitness things. I was making good money. So I was like, okay, we're going to start my business during this time where I have this buffer. And then as my business builds and I'm more confident in myself, I'm going to start dropping things. So that started happening. And then that company I just told you about that was paying me way too much money for nothing, they went bankrupt. Surprise, no surprise. So I was kind of like, oh shit, now I have like 6 SoulCycle classes a week, some PT clients, and myself. And I was like, I'm still making plenty of money to do what I'm doing. So I kept building. And then eventually SoulCycle, I had been doing it for so long, it was no longer serving me. I dropped it. And then I was the only personal training, like 5 clients that I'd had for years, plus my business. And then eventually I was fully sufficient with my business that I ended up dropping all the clients. So I did everything in stages. But to answer your question, I still get moments in time where I'm feeling like, oh, wow, like what if Instagram just went away? Or what if no one wants to work with me anymore? And I truly believe if you show up every day and you have pure intentions and you work hard and you don't stop working hard, like, yes, there's times where you can take pauses and not let yourself burn out, but I've been incredibly consistent with what I do. And I firmly believe that the universe has my back. And there's moments in time to this day where I'll be like, shit, my clients are a little bit lower than I'd like them. And then within a week or 2, I suddenly got 3. And then I'm back feeling fine. And then I'll be like, damn, like I should probably like do something else. And then I'll just launch a group program, because most of my income is from one-on-one coaching, but I do group programs like once a quarter. And I'll be like, I'm going to do a group program. And then I'm like, oh, 30 people just signed up for my group program. Like, damn. So long story short, yes, I still have doubts, but I do believe the universe has me. And I feel like maybe what I'm doing right now might not be what I'm doing in a couple years. Who knows? But I know that my work ethic and like my history, I'm never going to be not okay.
Okay. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. From what it sounds like, that whole explanation is that, yeah, you do have some fears and doubts, but you know that your work ethic will carry you through. Yeah. If things do start slipping a little bit, then you just kind of redouble your efforts or launch a new program, and then you're good from there.
Yeah. Because I think so many of us, we feel like, oh, we picked this career, we're stuck in it, or like, oh, I'm here, but what if this ends? Like, Yeah, what if it ends that who cares how old you are? If you wanted to change paths, you can change paths if you have the determination and drive to change a path. And I know I have that.
Yeah, for sure. So, the universe has got your back, but you've got your own back too.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about your coaching, your clients a little bit.
Yeah.
So as a health and fitness coach, we'll sort of call it that, even though it's,
Right.
probably more than that. What is the most common mental block that you see in your clients when it comes to body image or performance? And how do you help them work through that mental block?
Well, first of all, the majority of my clients are women. However, I do have some male clients. And I would say to anyone listening to this, regardless of your gender, you have probably had a time in your life where you decide you want to make a change to change your composition or your health, whatever it may be. And you've probably failed. And I think the common thing that caused people to come to me is, first of all, they see my story and they can relate to me at one way or another. So they might relate to me, the version of me that was overweight as a kid. They might relate to me as the version that was in an office job, very sedentary, very overweight. They might relate to the version of me that was fit, but wanted to be super fit. So I think the relatability is something that draws people to me. The common issue is people will attempt something, and then, as you know, our bodies fluctuate, and something will cause them to fluctuate up, and they'll be like, oh, I can't lose weight. This is another reinforcement. I was on point for 2 weeks. I had one dinner out with my friends, and my scale went up 4 pounds. Like, I'm not going to do what I was doing tomorrow. So I think the main issue that people have is they're not consistent. They don't know what to be consistent in. They don't know how to feed themselves. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to grocery shop. They don't know how to plan, and they don't know how to be consistent. So I think that's the main thing, is like teaching people how to live a lifestyle that they like, but they can also do forever. And they have to understand that it's forever.
Okay, so it kind of sounds like two main things I heard there was that people lack consistency, for one, in achieving whatever their goals are. And then also the second big thing that I heard you say there was that people kind of have like a self-defeating mentality where they'll try something and they're, those two things I'm going to tie them together. They'll try something. They're probably not consistent with it because they don't know how to do it consistently because they were never taught how to do it. And so then when it doesn't work, they basically say, I can't do it. And they just kind of give up. So that would be kind of like the biggest like mental block that people are kind of coming to you with.
Yeah. And they just think that nothing they do will ever work. And they allow themselves to stay in that position.
Okay. Now, did you ever feel that way about your journey, like about your weight loss journey? Or as soon as you like flip that switch, like, did you ever feel like you couldn't do it?
Once I decided that I was going to do it, I'm sure there's been moments where I have doubts about things, but I'm I'm a realist. So I can like look at myself in the mirror and be like, if I don't have something, it's because of something. And I can quickly identify what it is. So like, for instance, if I was trying to lose body fat and I wasn't losing body fat, I would know why. And I would know it's because of X, Y, or Z. So for me, I never struggled with that, but I think a lot of people do. And they just lack discipline. And once I find that the first month of working with a client, it's pivotal. If they can see success in the first month and feel it and understand that it works, they're going to buy in. But if it's not everyone does that, unfortunately.
Did you ever work with a coach or a mentor, or how did you figure out these things for yourself? Did you just like kind of figure them out yourself, or?
I did have a nutrition coach. She was a personal trainer at Equinox, and she competed in bodybuilding. And so she taught me about macros for like a couple of months. And then when I was doing bodybuilding, I had a bodybuilding coach.
What role has confidence played in your journey? Right. So that's a very open-ended question, but from when you were an athlete, a fitness instructor, the bodybuilding, to being an entrepreneur, what role has confidence played, and how do you continue to build and protect that confidence?
Yeah, I think confidence is everything. And confidence isn't being like overly confident and like, oh, that girl's full of herself. Confidence to me is doing what you say you're going to do, following the promises that you set for yourself. So I'm very confident because whatever I say I'm going to do, I will do it. I'm like down to just being on time for things. Like I'm never late. I'm always on time. I always like, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I say I'm going to wake up and do cardio, I'm going to do it. If I say I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. So confidence, I think, as an athlete is high because I've never not accomplished what I said I'm going to accomplish. Confidence as a business owner is also high because I feel like if you're not confident, your clients aren't going to trust you, and you're also not going to have a good reputation because if you're like, oh, I keep on canceling on clients, or I can't manage my schedule, or I overpromise and underdeliver, like that goes into confidence. So I think confidence as a whole is everything. And without being confident in who you are and what you stand for and what you want to deliver and what you want to show, you're not going to be successful, whether that be with athletic stuff, body composition stuff, business stuff, personal relationships. Like, you know, like I mentioned, I just moved to San Diego in 1 year. And I made a point within like the first 1 to 2 months of me moving here, when I walk around, I don't walk around holding my phone. I walk around making eye contact, saying hello, talking to store people, talking to trainers at Fit, making friends. And like within 1 to 2 months, I had a whole network of people, of friends. So it's like you have to be confident, and confident is different in different scenarios.
For sure. It's kind of an epidemic, I'm sure you've noticed, because you are very conscious about walking around not with your phone in your hand.
Yeah.
Everybody has their phone in their hand, walking around at the farmer's market, at the gym, in between sets, at restaurants, at bars, everywhere. Everybody's got their phone in their hand. Yeah. And I like to do that too. I mean, that's how we got introduced at the gym. It's like, I think either I came up to you and started talking to you, or you came up and started talking to me. Mm-hmm. And it's just an epidemic. And it's funny talking about confidence because so many people lack confidence. Yeah. So many people don't have the confidence to go talk to somebody of the other gender or whatever it is. I mean, it's just like, and it's funny because those are the same people that are on their phones all the time. So
I know. And it's sad. Like a lot of my clients, it's kind of a separate tangent, but a lot of my clients that are struggling with their weight and their perception of themselves and their body image, they are so invested in their phones and like comparing themselves to this person. And I literally have to sometimes say, you don't understand. The person you're comparing yourself to, they're filming themselves doing these things. They're orchestrating the vision that you're comparing yourself to. So you don't know what's on the other side of that screen. It's exhausting to constantly be, I get exhausted because I'm very active on social media, but like it's exhausting to always be filming yourself in this candid way. Like all these what I eat in a day are like waking up with me. They had to literally set their phone up and pretend they're asleep and get out of bed. Yeah. It's not natural. It's not what you think. So like to base your worth in like other people's realities, it's like you don't know what their reality is. And we're all, we all show up on social media trying to look a certain way and like whatever. So I do it too, but it's just like if you're not confident and you're comparing yourself to people that you perceive as super confident, it's not an accurate comparison.
Yeah. Social media is good for a lot of things, but it's also toxic for a ton of other things. So be careful with that comparison mindset. Yeah. Comparing yourself to the picture on Instagram with the perfect lighting that they took 200 takes to get flexing. They haven't, they're 36 hours fasted and then they applied a filter to it. Yeah. And it's like not whatever, like it's just ridiculous to compare yourself. Which is why I really appreciate those like sort of before and after, like 3 second apart pictures where somebody's like with perfect lighting and with my high-waisted leggings pulled all the way up and then like relax. And it's the same exact person. Yeah. I love that because people are just being very honest about how they look instead of like posing and flexing. And like, it's just, it's so refreshing to see that. Yeah.
And if you are not confident, you don't know how to pose and like do that to your body. If you're confident and you've been around a camera and you're like used to it, you can turn that on. But if you're someone who's like, whatever, you just like stand there. Like you're not like,
Yeah. Yeah. So perfect segue into our next question here. If someone listening is struggling with their identity, their self-image, their motivation, and so forth, what's one mindset shift or mental skill that you believe can help get them unstuck? I guess maybe aside from confidence? Like, is there a skill that you help teach your clients at all?
I think just constantly reminding someone that you are not stuck. Like, your current situation is not going to be your end situation if you don't want it to be. And to just know that, like, seeking help is the best thing to do. Like, if you feel like you can't change your body comp, or you feel like you can't get out of whatever career or relationship that you're in, don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, all the people that I work with that have seen success, they reached out to me because they were tired of feeling stuck. And then they got unstuck, and that built the confidence in themselves. And now they're doing whatever they're doing. Like, it's so cool to see my clients be achieving their body composition results, and they're also getting like promotions at work, and they're breaking up with the guy that they've been with, not all of them, but they're breaking up with the guy they've been with for X amount of years who they don't really want to be with, or they're meeting someone, or like they're confident in themselves and now they're being more social. Like, it's just like a ripple effect. So my best advice is, whatever you're unhappy about, you can either stay unhappy about it or you could do something about it. And if you don't know how to do something about it, seek help to help you learn.
Absolutely. Well, Maxie, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here and share your story with us. It sounds like you're ever evolving in everything that you're doing. And I really appreciated what you said earlier about who knows if what you're doing now is what you're going to be doing in a few years. I have no doubt personally that you're going to be moving on to bigger and better things. Not that what you're doing right now isn't big and good already, but just with your mindset of growth and being the best at what you can be, like, I see that in you.
Thank you.
So I really want to thank you for sharing that story with me and with our listeners today. Is there anything else that you want to leave off on today, or did we cover everything that you wanted to discuss today?
If you're looking for lifestyle transformation and you want to change your body comp, change your life, change your happiness spectrum, reach out to me on Instagram, and that's about it.
Okay. And you do remote coaching as well, right? It's not
Remote
all
coaching,
in person?
Yeah, all my the majority of my programs are just one-on-one coaching. So we work together very closely. I pride my program in how accessible I am to my clients. So if you are my one-on-one client, we have a weekly video call. I also send voice notes Monday through Friday every morning before 7 a.m. checking your food log to make sure your food's in for the day. You get custom workout programs. You can text me during my business hours, which are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and I respond in minutes as long as I'm not on a current coaching call. You get access to my recipe book, which has over 50 recipes, and we truly transform your body together. And it's not just in the time we work together. You're not just going to be following this paper meal plan or drinking shakes for 3 months. You're going to be eating real foods that you like. You're going to understand what it does to your body, and you're going to be able to maintain your results. And most importantly, you'll be able to continue to make changes to your results and to your physique because you'll actually know how to. So it's very important to me that people, when they work with me, they leave in a better place and also an educated place. They can continue making changes.
Beautiful. Well said.
Thank you.
Well, I'm super grateful to have taken the time that, for us to have had this discussion today, and also that you work in the fitness space.
Yeah.
You're doing great work. I'm also a personal trainer, so I really appreciate what you're doing to help everybody transform themselves and live their best lives. So I think we'll sign off here.
Sounds good.
Thanks again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Maxie, have a great rest of your day, and we'll chat again soon.
too.
Okay? All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.